Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Queer There Everywhere. Like, comment, subscribe. On the couch today, I have an absolute icon. My favourite drag king. They are an actor, a comedian, a singer, a rapper, a host, podcaster.
Oh, yeah.
What don't they do? I present to you Don Juan.
Oh, babe, what an introduction. I love that. Great to be here. Great to be here on your glitzy sofa.
Glitzy by name.
Glitzy by nature.
Thank you for being here, darling.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely, babes. I mean, you're just round the corner, aren't you?
I know, yeah. Yeah, for a change, I haven't got on a mega buzz from Birmingham. This is the thing. So it's like that is one of my oldest jokes because every time I do a gig in London or anywhere else for that matter, people think I've just arrived from Birmingham. Yeah. I'm obviously a Brummie, but I've been in London 15 years now.
15 years.
And yeah, we're neighbours.
Do you know, I got a megabus down to London. The first time I ever came, 16 years old, £5 from Wakefield to audition for Italia Conti on my own, on my togs, to do my little tap and my ballet. Yeah. That megabus star.
Yeah, do you remember it used to be £1? I mean, with the cos he lives, it can't be £1 anymore. But it is the cheapest way to travel. It's just that it takes about a week to get anywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it takes forever. And the smells on the...
Oh, Dave.
So, should we talk about your iconic career?
Oh.
You've been in the West End. You've done a podcast with the Tree
Yeah, that was actually a follow-on from the West End. So, I mean, where do I start? I am coming up to my 10th anniversary as a drag king. I started in 2015 and I started as a drag king for a laugh. Entered Man Up at the drag king competition and didn't win. I was fuming.
Robbed.
But then I just went on to perform as a drag king because I realised that actually I'm quite good at it.
So great. I've seen you sing. I've seen you Mac the Night, Bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, I've got there's a variety of numbers that I do, and but I basically started out as a drag king because I get constantly misgendered out of drag. And that's been the case pretty much my whole life. I was always like, as a kid, being called a little boy and stuff. And actually, growing up, that felt like a slur if someone misgendered me. And so it was like the way that people would, call me a boy. And growing up, I identified as a girl. Felt like, oh... but then I also knew that I wasn't like all the other girls. And that would have been the seedling of my gender non-conforming and non-binary identity that I wasn't aware of as a child. But it was something that felt like, the constant misgendering always felt like it made me in some way feel like awkward or an outsider or whatever it is, and being called mate and then someone going, all right mate, oh sorry love, and it's like actually I'm neither. So and then when I got into performing as a drag king, I thought, do you know what, I make a really good man, like one of the good men. So I was like, the transformation feels quite easy. I love singing male songs, and so why not give it a go? And then when I started doing it, I incorporated some comedy. I've been singing since I was a kid and started out as a rapper before I got into drag. And so I was like, oh, let's bring a bit of that in. And so bringing all of these elements of my performance style into drag has just made my character as Don Juan even bigger. So, and I just have fun, and that's actually the key for me. Drag for me is never serious. I don't ever take myself too serious. I think, you know, the fact that I'm getting up on stage acting like my name comes from Don Juan, so I'm the Brummy version, and you know, I've always been a bit of I love the ladies, so as Don Juan, I'm like a ladies' man, and so it was the fact that it allowed me to play in this character of, like, you know, a kind of cheesy, silky smooth man that wants to chat everyone up and wants the women to throw the knickers at me. Is just fun, and it's like it allows me, and also because when I'm, you know, engaging with the audience, the flirting is fun. It's never offensive. It's all about having a laugh and making people feel comfortable and warm and happy. And ultimately, because I'm from the Midlands, we're in the middle of England, and it's like you've got the north and the south divide, and then us Brummies bring everyone together. So I've always been about sharing the love. I even do songs where I get people to come and, you know, hug each other and just share a bit of the love, and it makes me feel good. I just enjoy being on stage and seeing people look back at me, laughing, smiling. So it's never about taking, you know, a drag for me. Like, there are lots of look queens and kings and things. I mean, I've got quite a nice look now.
You look gorgeous.
You know.
I was about to say. Beautiful. Show them the back, please.
Oh, here we
ready?
go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Come on. Embellished by my dear creative friend Katie Douche. But yeah, I've started to, you know, make more of my drag in terms of presentation. But it is just, I just started going up on stage when I first started performing as a drag king, and I got a cheap wig from Dalston. In fact, not a cheap wig, it was weave from Dalston.
Oh, yeah, what was it like?
Oh, it was awful. It was like the cheapest. And I went into like packs and I was like, I went to the bargain bucket, and the guys were like, oh no, we've got some really quality. And I was like, no, I'm just going to cut you up and stick it on my face. So I started out like that, and then because of being a live singer, the hair would, so I'd just stick spirit glue and gum and stick the hair down, and I'd have like this moustache and goatee. And then it was just constantly going in my mouth. And then I got to a point where I was doing so much drag that I couldn't do it like that anymore. And in fact, that brings me to the West End.
Yeah. By the way, love the facial hair.
Oh,
It's
thank
gorgeous.
you.
What is that? Was eyeliner or?
Yeah, I use a liquid eyeliner. Yeah, which, so going back to, and actually ties in with Latrice Royale, because I did.
I love
Latrice. So I did the West End with Latrice Royale and Willem, and
who I also love.
Yeah, and there was oh my word, a ream of queens and another king, Louis Cypher, in there.
This was Death Drop. Yes.
Death Drop, yeah. But they sent over 2 of the American Drag Race girls, and I was like, oh, how are they going to be? Because this was 2021, and I just thought they were going to be real divas, and they weren't at all. They are literally 2 of the nicest queens I've ever met. Latrice is just, she's just a hug in a mug. She's lovely and really warm and gorgeous. Willem is an absolute scream. And because Willem in drag, I mean, prior to, you know, on Willem's season of Drag Race gave off this, like, you know, certain energy. But in real life, just absolutely stunning. So yeah, we did Death Drop, and that was amazing because it was just after lockdown. We were the second show to go on in the West End after lockdown, and it was still what's it called where you had the space? What was it? The
social distancing.
Yeah, that's it. Social distancing. So you could book seats, but there'd be like a seat between and whatnot. Anyhow,
I mean, I could still do with a little bit of social.
I know, I
mean.
I've got to be honest, that's the biggest thing I miss from lockdown, because I actually, especially in London now, I'm like, get away from it.
No, I know, right?
But yes, we did that, and then and that was an amazing success, and that was 3 months in the West End. And for me, because I haven't come from a performance like trained background, everything I do is just self-taught. It just started with me singing and rapping at myself in the mirror as a kid, and then I've just gone, oh, do you know what, I'm going to do this and that and da da da. And so being asked to do that was amazing, and with such an incredible cast as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of projected me as a drag king, because suddenly you've been in the West End.
Yeah.
I've got friends who've been acting for years who've not made it to the West End, and they're like, how did you get in the West End? And I'm like, I don't know. So
do you feel like you learned anything from the training? Did you get any good advice?
So I learned that because they are so professional.
Right.
They were just it was just, for me at that stage in my career, it was such an honour to work with them. But I learned a lot, as I do, from myself whenever I do something new, because it was a real challenge. And that I remember being behind the curtain of the first show in the West End and absolutely being terrified. My stomach was doing cartwheels, and I was like, oh my God. And then I went out, and then every night got easier, and then you got into a flow, and then you felt like, and it's always important in a theatre show that you treat every show like your first show, because the audience, I mean, they might have come back, but most people haven't seen you before, so it's like, so I really grew as a performer. It was amazing. It was such a great experience, especially at that time.
Yeah.
With just quite a lockdown.
Yeah.
So that was a big kind of, when you add things to your performance armour and you go, oh,
armour. I always speak about armour.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you feel like you get another G.
Yes.
I love that. Yes.
I say that all the time, because I just think that that all these things just help you to grow and give you more confidence. And I think we're always learning. It's like, if we're not learning, then we might as well just forget it.
Just
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I can, be in a show, in a 2-hour odd show in the West End and do really well. So it was really, it took me forward as a performer. And then I went on to do panto, and I played Prince Charming with Divina De Campo.
Yes. Yeah.
I
fellow
Divina De Campo.
Yeah.
I can't explain how much admiration I've got for Divina, because she is so talented in so many areas. So when we were backstage, she would just make me cry with laughter. So she's so funny. But then she's got this vocal range that is insane. I don't meet many people that I'm singing alongside with that I'm like, oh, I wish I had your voice. And I'm like, I wish I had Davina's voice. She's like, so it was, so that was another kind of step forward. And doing panto, because you're doing 2 shows a day. So
moves you through your paces, doesn't it?
You're literally like, and then my next big thing was it 2023 when I started doing Joe Lycett?
Yes. How was that?
Amazing, because again, it's a different ball game, because it's live TV.
Live TV, right?
So it was Channel 4, and Series 1 started in 2023. And people would say, oh, did you know Joe before the show? No, I hadn't met him ever before. I got it through a casting director.
Yeah.
And then when I went for the kind of second set of auditions and met Joe, I was like, oh, he's lovely. And then when I got it and started working with him, I realised that he's a really genuinely lovely, funny, talented, just guy. He's like, and he's so ridiculously funny. It's like, I mean, he's next level. So now I consider him a friend because we've done 2 years of
2 seasons.
2 seasons together. But yeah, it was, and again when I went on the first episode live on Channel 4 at 10 p.m. and they're like, Dawn, are you ready? And it's like you get this countdown in your ear and you're like, oh, and I just kept thinking, what if suddenly just nothing comes out of my mouth? Because I introduced Joe at the top of the show, so mine's the first voice that you hear saying da 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 da, please welcome your host, and then it's always something funny about Joe Lycett, and then I sit in the audience with Why Is She Black? And then we do this whole question.
Was it auto cue or was
no?
She's off.
I know. Yeah. It was totally, and we were totally off book. And so but you definitely feel that the awareness of you are going live on national TV.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking is, it's that thing where you're thinking don't swear, but then you kind of, you know what I mean? You're almost like, but that once that first one and second one, and then it just flowed. Yeah. And then season 2 was really good last year, and Joe won a BAFTA.
Yes.
And actually, I'm wearing my BAFTA suit.
Oh, I'm honoured, darling. Very honoured.
So I got invited as one of Joe's guests to go to the BAFTAs with him.
I saw that you went.
How
was
cool! Stunning.
Who did you see?
I saw. I mean, it was just. And the weird thing is, because you've seen all these people that you've seen on your TV for years, you think you know them.
Yeah.
So you're looking at people and you're going, oh yeah, but you just want to. Which is what I mostly did, just end up chatting with people because I'm like, oh yeah. But I was amazed by how many people were telling me how good I looked.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, you know.
Clearly.
But I was literally like celebs coming up to me and I'm like, and I had a chat with, I mean, I had the really great chats I had a lovely one with David Tennant.
Oh yeah.
What
did you tell us about?
Well, I was talking to him about drag kings. Yes. I was literally like, because he was saying how he hadn't seen a drag king before and he was like, I was the only drag king at the BAFTAs in 2024. Mm-hmm. So, and I had a chat with Russell T Davies, who, yes, I know, but get this, Joe was like, oh, Russell, have you met Don? And Russell was like, I know Don one. And I'm like, So, Russell, if you're watching, I'm happy to take up the role as the next Doctor Who whenever that comes about.
Doctor Who.
They haven't yet, but they should.
We should.
They should. I mean,
he knows you.
I know. See,
Russell, book them.
Yeah, Russell. I'm waiting.
We're gonna act dumb in the comments, darling.
And it was just incredible. I mean, it's top, it's VVIP.
Yeah.
So there's just good champagne and like it's just everything is bougie plus.
Yeah.
So there's no cutting corners. Do you know what I mean? It's not a drag brunch.
Yeah.
So,
not the drag brunch.
So amazing, and just I felt really special being there and just talking to all these people who were literally like, oh, drag king, and it's great. And it's, on one hand, it's great that they're like, oh, this is great, we've met a drag king. The other hand, it's frustrating that they still, and so many people don't know what a drag king is.
Yes. Because we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I also want to celebrate the fact that you are a bit of a pioneer. Not even a bit. You are, because you were the first drag king dame ever.
Oh.
Right?
Yes, which is my last big achievement of the end of 2024 going into 25. Yeah, I was cast as a dame, a pantomime dame. And yeah, as the first drag king to be officially cast as a pantomime dame, it felt really special. I also played the dame as a they them.
Yeah.
So I could say that I was a dame. Yeah, I mean, we stuck with dame as a type, but what was great is that I had like a mask kind of suited, booted at the top, and then like a skirt or something at the bottom. And so it was a really kind of gender bending role, which I loved.
Yeah.
And I got to talk about being non-binary, being like, yeah. So my whole introduction, and I have to say, hats off to the director who's been in panto for I think it's over 25 years, and he was so he was like, you're one of the best dames that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So and he said, just because your approach is so natural and free.
Yeah.
And actually it was because he let me rewrite sections of the script that to kind of make it my own. And so one of the first things I talked about was the fact that I was going out, that I'm a dame who's a they, them. And so it's, a bit of a gender bendy pickle. And so I made that funny.
Yeah.
And introduced myself to the audience so that they knew what to expect. And at first, not at first, but occasionally I would get people looking at me going, But then by halfway through, they'd be applauding and at the end getting standing ovations. And, nearly every show was full. And I think in total, the capacity of the theatre was about 400. Yeah. And we did 30 shows. So it's a lot of people to get. And and it just felt really, it felt like a real win.
It is a win.
Yeah. So, for especially, in the current climate, to just be able to go out and talk to people in a way that people can accept more, that you're just in between gender. It's really, it's not a big deal, really. It's like,
because it isn't represented enough with drag king, and because people, the thing is, it's like all the phobias of everything. It's just because they don't have anyone in their life,
exactly,
or that or they haven't watched that art or been immersed in that culture and things like that. And I know you touched on it earlier, and it was like such a hard relate because we haven't discussed this before, but like growing up for me, everyone was are you a boy or a girl? All of this like thrown at me, so it was just so effeminate, like looking and yada yada, and just was, and and it was I just hope but the thing is, you doing roles like that, you pioneering it, is doing that, and it is really special, and you should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you. And I think what you just said about that unknown, because I think this goes with anything, that fear of the unknown. Ultimately, there are loads of people out there, your average Joe or builder on the street who's never come across someone who's identifying as they do. And they're a bit like, what?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Why wouldn't you be, well, you're obviously a woman or a man. And it's not about saying, oh, wow, I've decided that I'm making this thing up, that I'm going to become. It's about feeling like where you sit as a human being is somewhere in between. And it makes complete sense, because when you talk about being more effeminate, for me, it was me being more mass.
But here's the thing, they're the ones that told us about ourselves before we even knew. And it was like putting that on. It was the truth. They could see it, and now you got a problem with it.
And you feel like, this is the thing. All the people who were like, all right, mate, all sorry, love. And now you go, well, I'm the day. They're like, well, what? What do you mean? And I'm like, babe, pick a side. because I don't want him. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
And nor should we have to.
no. And this is the thing. It's like, I just think that being gender non-conforming, non-binary, you know, however you want to consider yourself in between gender, just makes absolute sense to that person. It's not it's not prescribed. It's not like, oh, well, this is how you have to be.
Yeah.
If it makes sense to you, and for me, that actually now feeling like, oh yeah, I am somewhere in between, makes me feel more at ease and more kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Rather than me having to go, oh yeah, I've got to be really feminine, or I've got to be really masculine. There are times where I just feel, and I've never really felt like, I want to be a man, but then I've also not felt like the typical girls or women that I've grown up with. So it's that point where you go, oh yeah, I'm just, it's all about chromosomes. And
yes,
ultimately, obviously within biology, some things are going to be more one way, and some things, all the friends that I grew up with that are really girly, I'm like, oh, none of that makes sense to me. I'm like, but I'm glad it makes sense to you. That's great.
Yeah.
But then also in by the same token, all the blokes that are like, I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me either. So obviously, I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine. And it should be fine for everyone else.
And it's also absolutely fabulous and special and unique and really effing fudging cool. Like, well, it's like,
fudging cool,
Annie. And like, if just people would like read a history book and like, go back to like the First Nations around the world and non-binary angels.
It's not a new thing. Look at And I think it's just when people want to take ownership of something, that often comes with resistance from people who are like, no, we don't like this, you're trying to change. And it's like, just get over it, just let it go. That old saying, live and let live, has never been truer, because
mind your business and the business will mind yours. Because like the only business you need to be concerning yourself with is your own.
Yes.
Like,
oh, babe, I couldn't agree more.
No, all the little like,
keep on
like, what are you adding to the conversation, to the energy of the world? No, you're dragging it down, like, baby.
And that's the bit I don't understand. I don't understand why so many people get so angry about other people feeling comfortable in themselves. The whole debate around trans existence is like, those people who transition they're becoming their true self. How dare you, from this outside perspective, come in and go, no, you can't do that? It's like, sorry, wait, what A, what's it got to do with you? And B, you're not that person. Let the person live. Let people be their true self. And actually what that does for people is it makes them a happier, a better, they contribute more to society. Because if you're happy and you're free, that's how you are able to flourish as a person. It's so, I mean, all these things are really basic, and we, being part of the community, know all these. But I find the current conversation around, I mean, I can't. I'm glad I can't wrap my head around transphobia.
I feel like it's jarring their worldview because they're not free themselves, because they're so prescribed to the patriarchy and these boxes that they put in. And they're like, oh no, this is how it's supposed to be done.
Like, what? Brain can't compute.
It's literally like that.
But I just think, why? What is it? Why? How is this affecting your life?
Well, it's not.
So, and it just blows my mind that people feel the need to try and stop other people. If you don't like something, that's up to you. Lots of people don't like things, but actually trying to actively, you know, create hate and stop people from being their true selves and their living their to their full identity. It's like, why?
Yeah. I don't like white chocolate. I just don't eat it.
Yeah, I know.
I just have sea bar chocolate instead.
It's like, do you know what I mean?
Do you know
The
what I mean?
choices are easy.
Yeah.
Just, you know, just move on. So, transphobe, move on.
Yeah. Move on. Yeah, it's such an awful thought.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it is.
yeah. How was it growing up? Like, other than like your gender, growing up like queer, lesbian in Birmingham.
So oh gosh, I
do
mean,
you want to go there?
I know. Do we want to go there? What I will say is, and this is another thing around identity because I embrace the term dyke, being a dyke, and that's an interesting one because again, that was used as a slur for so many. For most of my life, and even now, you know, there'll be someone, but I'm like, it's really like empowering when you go, oh, I like that,
Yeah, I reclaim faggot.
yes,
I love it.
yeah,
The faggotry of it all, faggot she, agella.
yeah.
Is that what's the thing? Jargon. And now I love it.
Yeah.
Look right now I'm like, I'm a fairy.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, and so I think, I mean, I think I have flourished in my queerness in all of its forms. Like once I moved to London,
And it shows because you are just like such a vibe. And,
thanks. But I mean, as I said, I've been here 15 years, and for me, and I love Birmingham because it's my hometown. But one of the reasons I moved to London is with that, you know, London dream. And, I'm coming to London town. I'm gonna make a name for myself.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And I have to say, the first, I don't know, would I say the first kind of few years were like, oh, this is tough. And I've known lots of people who've come and then just gone, that's it, I'm out.
Yeah, me too.
But I was like, no, I'm going to stick with it. And now, and I mean, when I first moved, I don't know if you remember the pub called the Joiners.
I loved the Joiners. I miss the Joiners.
I know, I'm me. So the Joiners was, I moved to the Hackney Road when I first moved to London.
Yeah.
And I was literally I might not have even been 2 minutes, a minute walk from the Joiners. And so
amazing.
Quite often I'd be heading home and I'd just like pop in and make new friends and just have an amazing time. And then I think I did perform there just before it closed. And I just kind of started to find that queer vibe in London, particularly that East End queer vibe. And because for some reason, and it's a shame really, because, you know, back in the day, Soho was a great vibe.
Yes.
No, not so much.
Well, not so much anymore, unfortunately.
Which is really sad. And so when I moved here, it felt like that East London queer vibe was really up and coming. And East London queers are cool.
And they're nice.
No getting away from it yet.
They're nice.
No getting away from it.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone
creative and arty. And...
yeah, and I mean, it can, you know, it can be a bit hipstery, it can be a bit pretentious, but the vibe that you can get from going out, you know, meeting people, partying,
it's a bit more authentic.
Yeah,
which
you
know, as
which is
what
Soho's lost. Yeah.
Yes, I mean it's all pretz and
yeah. It's just become. I mean, it's kind of the queer scene and the gay scene in Soho has been a rise, and I think one of the frustrations for me was that it was always quite gay, male heavy in Soho. And East London is about I mean, especially now, it's like there are probably more they thems in East London.
Like East London is the new.
Yeah.
Like,
It's almost like
yeah.
So and I think because I found that in London, and I don't know if you've ever been to Love Box, but I used to go to Love Box, back in the day. And that was really queer, and it was just there was just so much going on there.
There was
that made just so many like warehouse parties and like I mean Hackney Week was coming up then, so that was like so there was just so much to do. And I think that's how I ended up kind of finding my way into drag.
I miss Candy Bar.
Oh, Bags, I love
Candy Bar was my favourite. The music was so good.
That was, and I think when Candy Bar left Soho, it was like, and it took a while for us to get She Bar.
Yes.
But I just don't think, I mean, the lesbian and flinter scene in East London is just, I mean, we're in the middle of a lesbian renaissance phase.
Yes, we are, baby. We are.
So, and I think the fact that suddenly there are these bars popping up.
Yeah.
That are.
There's a new one, isn't there, in East?
So there's Goldie's.
Yeah.
Goldie's Saloon and La Camionera.
That's the one. Yeah. They moved it though, didn't they? Frocks. It used La Camionera.
Oh yeah, that's it. Kind of started as a pop up on Broadway Market.
There's a field, and now
it is Well Street.
Yeah.
And now their wine is incredible.
Is it?
Yeah, really. It's all. I'm all about the natural wine, babe. If you're watching this, get into natural wine. Yeah, no handover, babes. That's why. So, so basically, I think the scene was good when I first moved here. 2009. It's now. It kind of took a dip after the joiners disappeared.
Yes, it did.
And then we got the Glory, and then that's moved now. But then what's happened is there's been this like new set of
Divine.
Yeah, and there's really kind of new things popping up. The Rosies that I hosted on Friday. The newest queer venue in Dalston. So it feels like it's coming back, which is really great. And there's like this, like a new energy coming onto the scene, so that's quite hopeful.
Can we circle back, because I'm loving the lesbian renaissance.
Oh yes,
babes.
Let's focus in on the lesbian renaissance.
It's my favourite band. Love Billie Eilish.
Oh
my
word.
The killing the music scene. First of all, I was obsessed with I Kissed a Girl.
Yes.
Much better than I Kissed a Boy.
Yes,
That's something to say for themselves.
Well, that's what I was gonna. And I kept seeing all over Pride when I was doing stuff. I kept seeing the cat stuff. I Kissed a Girl.
Yeah.
But I think no. I'm settled, babes. I'm fine. But yeah, I just think that when that happened, and it felt like it was so much better than I Kissed a Boy, but also. What it was like everyone realised that there was a demand for watching a lesbian dating show and just seeing lesbians. It's almost like we've been hidden for years, and and every now and again something will pop up and it'll be like, oh, should we put some lesbians in this? But now it's a bit like drag kings. It's becoming more accepted.
Yeah.
But I think
misogyny.
Oh my word. Without a doubt, I think, and don't even get me started on misogyny and the patriarchy.
Yeah.
But because I don't want to sit here and rant. But what I will say is that misogyny is at the root of why drag kings aren't as big, and also why for forever the gay scene has predominantly been about gay men. And so now there's like in the last kind of few years there's been this force for change. And I actually think it feels like it's started to filter through after lockdown, because everyone, and me included, just kind of went into, it was like we had no choice but to kind of hide away and reassess life. And I think I came out with this like, no, I'm not putting up with stuff. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of that now where people are like, no, we're not, you know, we want this and we're going to have it and we're going to make it happen. And so thank heaven for the lesbian renaissance.
Janelle Manel. Chat right.
The list is it. And I think, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Billie Eilish also because she's vegan.
Yes, we love a vegan in this house.
So, and also she's absolutely insanely talented.
She's so cool.
And what I've noticed is since she's come out, she's representing this real, authentic version of herself, and it's so beautiful to see. It's so good to see. And this goes back to, you know, just going back to that whole discussion around trans lives and, you know, being non-binary, gender non-conforming, and being able to be free. Once you're able to do that, and once you're able to kind of be your authentic self and put that out there, you flourish.
Yeah, you do.
So it's I just think it's amazing that at her level of artistry, she is representing.
I think like it's, and all of that oppression and misogyny and trauma creates wisdom. And it's now being like seen and represented and celebrated. Everyone's like obsessed. And I think it gives like a different level of depth. Like, you know, even like Chapel, like standing up for herself, but like changing the game. You know, because...
And don't she? It's like people are just, they're just, I mean, it's endless now. And I think there will be more and more people coming out.
I think the lesbians are going to take over.
I think,
or lesbians are taking over. All the gays are quaking them. All the drag queens are running around, mashing their lips around to other people's songs. The lesbians are the top of every single chart. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
I love it. I love it. I'm literally like here for it because it is like...
It's a bad thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah. This is the thing. It is so overdue. And hopefully there'll be a drag king renaissance really soon.
That part.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I have had to kick so many doors open. I don't care. I will keep like shoulder barging all these doors because I think you have to, you know, you have to have that self-belief. You have to know that I've worked for a long time as a performer and through my own like challenges around my identity to be able to reach a space and a place where I'm like, oh, do you know what? I'm really comfortable with who I am and what I'm doing. And so now I'm taking up space and I'm not apologetic about it. I'm like, no, because it's long overdue. It's like, you know, just the fact that I was cast as a non-binary, queer, black dame. So all these things that have so often been played by cis white men and not even always gay men. So it's that, you know, for so long, all of these roles.
Straight male dates for many years. Like, what? That's like...
And it's like, so I have now... Just getting that was a real... It felt like a real win. But also, that took me through another set of paces and added more armour. And so, you know, it's when you're doing again, it was like 2 shows a day. And when I looked at the schedule in 3 weeks, I had 2 days off. And I was like, can I do this? This was before I started. And then when I got to the end of it and felt like, gosh, I've done it and I feel great and I smashed it. And so you kind of then go, oh, okay, so I can do that. And I wasn't sure if I could do it when I looked at it, but now it just,
know.
and it makes you go, right, I want more, I want more.
And also because you have pioneered so many things, so many drag kings, so many lesbians will be looking up to you. So many black people.
Yeah,
you know,
it's really.
It's like you're an icon, babes.
Oh, babes.
Babs, you are an icon, isn't it? There's no getting away from it. Yeah.
Do you know what people
So going to battle with that armor?
People will say that to me, and I'm like, oh, that's nice, and I'm kind of like, really, but it is. I mean, it is. It does feel really good to represent because even just being a brummie, like I'm on stage, and so many people when I come on stage will be like, "Is that your real accent?" And I'm like, why would I put this on, babes? But I love it now. I mean, I can't imagine not being brummie, but it's like, it's all, these are all the things that, you know, in the past have been like frowned upon. And suddenly, I mean, you know, I'm fully embracing it.
And all the things you're now celebrated for.
Oh, my word, yeah. So, and that's the thing. It's like, I grew up being judged for looking like a boy. And now I make a living out of looking like a man, and I'm like, do you know what? I'm taking it. I'm having it, and
refrain
I'm
the shade.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good, babes. It's good.
So proud of you.
Oh, thanks, darling.
Yeah, so proud of you. Have you got any words of advice to all the people that are inspired by you and that are on their journey?
Oh, so now so I've got to think about this because I love to see other people grow, and I kind of, and there's a way, isn't there, when someone goes, "Oh, have you got advice?" And I just think, if anything, it's just about being true to yourself. Not feeling like, because one of the things that I will say is when I came to drag, there was this, like, I'd been in dressing rooms backstage, and everyone was like, "Oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do this," and I've just done drag my own way. Yeah. In that sense of really like playing with, like, you know, how I go on stage and trying something out and seeing if it works, but never taking myself too seriously. And I think it's about me going, oh, do you know what? I think this is going to work, so I'm going to give it a try. And then it does work.
Yeah.
And I think often, if you listen to all the external noise, you can find yourself feeling like, oh, they're doing that, so I should do it like that, or they're doing this, and da-da-da. And actually, just, you know, I'm very much about my gut. I'm always like, go with your gut, believe in yourself. And so the latest thing I'm doing is comedy writing. So I've been doing stand-up.
Yes.
I've done a few stand-up comedy sets, and my first one, I got thrown in at the deep end, and I did Joe Lycett and Friends. So I performed to a sold out room of, like, I don't know, it was about 500 or 600 people. Who were booked to see Joe, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
And so I was, and this is the thing now, as a performer, I don't, before most shows, I don't get that nervous unless it's something really big. So when I went out in the West End, and when I was doing live TV, and when I was waiting backstage to go on and do a 15-minute set for Joe's stand-up show, I was like, oh, am I going to be funny? Because you just, because this is the thing with stand-up, you literally, there's a crowd of people just sat waiting for you to make them laugh, and they're literally just sat there like, oh, are you going to be funny then?
Stand-up, I feel like, is the most terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Like, and I can say that now because I was literally like, oh, and then because I'd got all this stuff in my head and that I'd written before, but I was like, what if it just suddenly falls out? And then I went out, and the first one-liner made everyone laugh, and then it just rolled from there. And it was great, and it's actually now inspired me to want to do more. Because Joe came to one of my shows, which is how I ended up doing the stand-up with him, and he was like, Don, you're hilarious. And I was like, Joe Lycett says I'm hilarious. I'm
You're
hilarious. So, and he asked me, he was like, "Oh, do you want to do some comedy?" And I was like, yeah. And so since then, I've done theatre. I went back to Birmingham to do another gig, and I just stand up when I'm hosting, because I do lots of hosting. But now I'm focusing on writing more comedy, and it's great. It's like when you write jokes and then you go out and you perform them and people laugh, you're like, oh yeah, I am funny, I could do these. So it's a real, and it feels like, and it is scary, and I like to be scared, I like to be tested.
Where the great is.
Exactly. I'm doing is singing with live bands because I'm enjoying that. Yeah,
so cool.
I feel like
that's my favourite.
Yeah, singing live with a band is just it just gives you life.
It does.
And you bounce off each other, and it feels like. So I did a live gig on Friday, and I just feel like I want more. I want more richness. I want more challenges. I want to just feel like I'm getting all the feels from a gig. Yeah. So, and I love making people laugh. Because this is the thing, we are in such a difficult time right now. Yeah. It's like there's just so many awful things happening around the world. And also, the cosy leaves, the fact that most people can't even afford to just heat their homes at this time of year. Yeah. So, and that old saying of laughter is the best medicine. Really I'm not sure if I was like dying and someone turned up in an ambulance and went, "I've got a joke for you." I'd be like, "Yeah, tell me the joke, don't say me." So, but actually just making people laugh, it's just really nice to just lighten the load of everything that's going on.
I think it brings, to take it, you know what I'm like, spiritual. Yogini is about to come out, but I think it takes you back to that sacred silliness of like a kid. It takes you back to that play state, and that is like the truest like essence of us. And it's like, and it just when you laugh, and it's like you feel like your vibration, your soul, your aura just goes.
And you let go, because when I have laughed at something to the point of crying, I'm literally like, you can't breathe, and you're like, oh, but then after you feel so good. Yeah. And this is the thing, and actually it feels like a gift for me to be able to make people laugh. Such a gift. And I love it. I love entertaining. I love people talk about, when I host, they feel really kind of safe and
you
warm.
Do you feel at ease with you,
and I enjoy that. And I think the reason that people feel that is because I'm with them. Like if something's going wrong, I'm like, oh, and I don't, you kind of, and this is going back.
You create a safe space.
Yes, thank you, babe. And that's what I aim to do. And so even with comedy, it's like, making jokes, but making people feel like it's a safe, comfortable space for everyone to have a laugh. I'm not someone who would go out and pick on people and make them the butt of my joke. Yeah. If anything, I'll make myself the butt of my own joke. And so it's just, it's like, I just think we need a bit more laughter, a bit more love. Oh, what's that saying? Live, laugh, love. Live, laugh, It's so tacky, but it's true.
But it is true. It's cheesy, but it is true. Yeah. Live, laugh, love.
Yes.
I think that's a great way to.
That's the day, isn't it?
Go on, say it really properly. Go on. Live, laugh, love, back. Oh, I love you.
Thanks for
Thank you so much. Please, sorry for being here. You're an icon. You're an inspiration. Everyone, done one. Follow them. They are amazing, as you have just listened and watched. And like, comment, subscribe. Live, laugh, love, Bob. Is that good?
was that? Terrible.
That was like a bad accent on Peaky Blinders.
Oh, I love that show. Ooh, Peaky Blinders. Take care of yourself. Thanks for tuning in.
Lots
And
of-
yourself. Lots of love.
Yay!
Done.
Thank you,
Thank you. You're amazing.